Welcome, Jennifer Stone, to Wizards of Waverly Pod.
Well, thank you, David DeLuise. So this week, guys, we are talking about Season 1, Episode 11. So this show is for y'all, and we've been hearing you that you want to hear the episodes more in depth. So
Yes.
You got it.
Okay, here are you ready? Everybody. Potion, Commotion.
Ooh, I like that. That was spicy. So this one originally aired February 10th, 2008.
I was 10 years old.
Yes, you were. Justin wants to be chosen for the World School Summit at the UN, but he faces tough competition from popular classmate Brad, whom Alex is infatuated with. Alex plans to use a love potion to make Brad fall in love with her, but accidentally drinks both halves, causing her to fall in love with herself and her head to grow when she's positive and shrink when she's negative about herself. Meanwhile, Max gets his full powers and he must wear a goofy hat to control them.
I like it. And it's interesting because the idea that we love ourselves maybe too much. Sometimes.
And the head grows bigger and bigger and bigger.
Now, I will let you say
do you
it.
love
I liked it. I was watching,
Yeah.
and I was like, because at one point, her head, we're jumping in, but once she drinks both halves of the potion,
Yes.
if she says something nice about herself, her head expands a little bit, and I actually liked it.
Did you like the effect?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Because I put this one into the category
Of the chandelier.
Of the chandelier, of like, which I know those who've been listening is like, we don't love the chandelier as an effect. And to me, the head, I didn't love it. So I'm shocked to hear you say you loved it.
I liked it.
Okay.
And it worked for me. Listen, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I will say that right away in the beginning of this episode, we have ramped up the competition between the siblings, and there is a lot of competitive things. They're competing for Selena wants Brad to love her. Justin wants to beat Brad so that he could win. There's a lot of competition. And correct me if I'm wrong, isn't this the first time that the competition between the kids, the wizard
I think
competition?
this is the first time it's brought up, but it's explained a bit more in a later episode. And it's also the first time, it's an interesting detail with like Max's powers being brought up, with like having to wear the hat to
Which
keep
is
them
like
in there.
the sequel to the Incredibles. Remember the little baby gets the powers and they're like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
So that was after this, right?
Yes,
They copied us.
They got us. There was a little detail at the very beginning when Alex walks into the substation. She has this, so all like the later 2000s trends are coming back and it's really just, it's like, it's getting me. But she has the bump it style.
Which is like an extra little hair.
For those that can't see me, it's like when the bangs are like poofed, the poof.
Right.
And I did that so hard to the point where there was something called a bump it. It was like a plastic thing. You could either do it at the front or at the back of your head.
But you wouldn't see it. It would just
you wouldn't
push
see it.
up
You had
your
to
hair.
like tease your hair.
Got it.
And so I had like major flashbacks, and that's coming back, which really freaks me out.
Jen, prepare yourself. Things come back.
I know.
Everything is
but,
just, there's
but,
not...
But it reminds me of how old I am. And that's what I know.
And Jen, I'm way older than you, so fuck you.
Okay, so part of Justin wanting to be part of the World School Summit at the UN, he tells Alex about it, but he faces tough competition with his popular classmate, Brad Sherwood, who's a kiss-up, which made me laugh my ass off.
Well, because it says kiss up, not kiss ass?
Yeah, totally.
But can't we say ass? Because ass is a donkey as well or something?
No,
It was one of the
I
words?
don't think that
Not
you
on
can say,
Disney.
not on Disney. Disney
Right.
was very like special about that, but it just made me laugh watching it back when they were like, oh, he's a kiss-up.
Yeah.
He's a kiss-up. And it's like, they're just trying to say kiss ass. I mean,
Right.
it was like so...
And he was very nice. I can't remember his name.
He was
but
one
who
of the
played Brad. He was
few-
such a nice guy. I know what you're going to say, Jen.
He was one of the few of Selena's crushes on the show that I did not have a crush on that week in real life.
Which is so weird because I had a huge
Did you
crush
really?
on him. No, of course I'm not. Jen Stone, come on.
My God. I can be so gullible sometimes.
But
I was like,
really-
you did?
I liked him. He was super nice. Yeah, he was very.
I guess he didn't make an impact on me. I don't remember him.
Well, I do. I remember him, and something that moving on for a second. Something that I love is when well, first of all, this is I think the last episode. One of the kids comes out of the lair, which is like the where we store things for the sub shop, and it's one of the first times that. or last times that you see any boxes back there.
Yeah.
Because I think Selena,
they kind of abandoned that.
yeah, but Selena opens the door and there was like this magic kind of effect around the door. Like, hey, the back of the restaurant has now turned into the lair. Never happened again. Just whenever you open the freezer, you just walk into the lair.
Well, that's why I guess they never had anyone else work at the sub shop that wasn't part of the family, because heaven forbid they go back to try to get something from the fridge.
We're wizards.
When I'm with you, where did they store the cold cuts? Where did they store it?
It's magic, Jen. It's magic.
They had no refrigerator at all.
The interesting thing too is I say that I'm on lesson 5 with Max, and I'm on lesson 372 with Alex and Justin. How the fuck is he supposed to catch up? You know what I mean? Like, what? They really made it a big,
Like, he had no shot in hell of winning the wizard competition, which that's another thing that I didn't even think about was, how are you supposed to win the wizard competition if you're the youngest? Like, that sucks.
Okay, so now I don't know exactly, but there's got to be, if I may, I'm just going to pull this out of my ass.
Clean it first, please.
When the youngest sibling becomes of age, you know what I mean? Then,
that's when it starts?
Well, listen, I'm just spitballing here. You know what I mean? Like, what? I'm going to ask the fans. What do they think? I want to know. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think? What's your take on siblings having a wizard competition but being different ages? Question mark.
I love your Deloise face. Question mark.
Okay. The potion lesson.
Yes.
Okay. I used this scene as my acting reel. I loved it.
Did you really?
Because I said I'm going to quote myself now.
That's the most actor thing I've ever heard in my entire life. This scene's in my reel.
Well, and I, okay, maybe I was a little like, hey, I'm on this fucking show. I don't need to put this on my acting reel.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to do acting other than Disney, I want to do something that's not Disney. So they don't really need to see this. But I did put the potion commotion on my thing because I love when I go, pick any potion at all. And he goes to pick it up, and I go, oh, not that one.
Yeah.
That one. Okay, good. And then I loved it. And I loved when we were yelling at each other, but saying, positive, loving things, nice things to each other, but yelling.
That part made me laugh because I felt like I could see, and you and Henry are so like committed and would try so hard not to break. But I felt like both of you, it brought me joy. Just the same way like when people watch SNL and they want like people to break.
Right.
I felt like I could just see both of you on the cusp of like breaking and almost making each other laugh, but you didn't. You held it together, but like I could tell you like just trying to push each other to that breaking point, which just brought me so much
Which is
joy.
so much fun because you always, it's that real moment that he's a little, or whoever it is that breaks, it makes it so real and funny. And in rewatching a couple of episodes, I've seen Jake has
Jake
laughed.
is the worst about breaking.
A little, like
Jake broke all the time, and I remember I would make him break, and then like people would be like, Jake, come on, dude, like we got to get it, and he's like, but she's so funny, and I'm like, that's my job, that's what I'm supposed to do, dude. But yeah, Jake was one of the I love him, but God, he broke all the time.
And here's something else that we've pulled from Bunk. Which I love when you
the
do
Aardvarks.
Yes, the singing Aardvarks movie.
Yeah.
You got that's Bunk, and he used that. He made it a thing. You know, or the writers made it a thing.
Which I didn't realize until rewatching that episode because I wasn't in it, so I'd never seen the movie's episode. Realizing that's where that catchphrase of his coming from. So the spell that they make other people feel like you love them, but my first thought with the spell, the potion commotion spell. And I know this is not what it is. I know it's like a love potion. You make people feel what you want them to. My first thought was like, you make yourself feel, what are the wizards, like sociopaths? Like they need
right, but I think it's just it exacerbates a certain, or it brings up a certain feeling.
No.
It hits it. But that's what you were thinking.
That was my like initial thought that I was like, no, that's not right. That's wrong. Where I was like, the Russos are trying like a spell to feel something. I was like, no, that's not it.
Fucking Russos.
But I just was like, what are they, sociopaths? So if you had an emotion that you wanted people to feel, like potion commotion, what would it be?
Happy.
You would just want to make people happy?
I just want everybody to be happy.
That's so nice.
And then to cry profusely.
Back to back. Like,
Yeah. No, happy.
You want everyone to be
What
schizophrenic?
emotion do you want people to have?
is honesty an emotion?
I don't know.
Not really. I mean, maybe.
I don't.
Truthful. Is truthful an emotion?
You know what? I didn't know there was a fucking test that was going to come in here today. I'm going to go with I don't think those are emotions.
Yeah.
But I understand what
I'm a
you're saying.
sociopath, so I don't know what emotions
Well, you
are.
just want everyone to be truthful.
No,
and honest.
I candor I find really an integrity I like. In
I have a
people.
little pet peeve.
What's
when
your pet
people
peeve?
say to be honest. I'm like, fucking be honest all the time.
Yeah.
Don't like pick and choose.
But
and I've said that before.
But what? Give me some context. What do you mean when people say to be honest?
What did you think about the movie? Oh yeah, it was good. Well, to be honest, I thought it sucked ass.
Okay.
I mean, whatever it is.
It's like, so you're lying the other times?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why
Okay.
I'm saying I have a problem with it.
That
You know
makes
what I mean?
sense. That makes total sense.
So in this, I'm wearing an orange shirt. And it clearly I was not near the orange couch in the scene because I'm wearing an orange shirt. Remember Shannon said if we were in a certain outfit, we couldn't like blend in.
Well, no, I
they
guess
didn't
we
want
just
us
couldn't
to.
because that orange couch, if we were in the living room at all, we just couldn't wear orange.
Right.
Because that couch was so orange. That hat though.
Yeah, no, but so Max comes in and sneezes or whatever it is, and then he flies up, or not flies up, but he hoisted
elevates.
up. But you can see him. For people who can't see me, he's like this. He's like, you can totally tell that he's
know.
strapped in and he's being held up.
I know he didn't play off the harness at all. Like normally when we were in harnesses, like you would try to like counteract the fact that you were in harness and try to show it. He just like
Yeah, but it
leaned
rides
into
up
it.
your ass. What are you going to
It
do? Oh my
does.
God, I've said ass so many times in this episode.
Is this the ass episode?
In the ass episode. But so that hat, where did it come from? Was that props or was that wardrobe?
My
or
guess is it
what do you
was
think?
props. I can see Jill, our prop master, coming in with that hat. But what the hell type of hat is that? Is it like a Renaissance thing?
I don't know.
Is it like a?
I think they were going for
was the-
magic hat, which is
Yeah.
also a little, this is like the magic hat, the sorting
Yeah,
hat
yeah.
is very kind of Harry Potter kind of,
And we'll talk about that in later episodes once we get to like the WizTech
Right.
episodes, because that's when we really started to lean into the Harry Potter puns. But I felt like this was the first time we really kind of poked fun at the fact that everybody felt like we were a Harry Potter knockoff.
Yeah.
I remember in the first season, we got a lot of shit for the fact that they're like, this is just Disney knocking off Harry Potter. Which later on, I think people realized that we were our own thing. But I think they just tried to find the most ridiculous looking hat on the planet.
Yeah.
Rather than finding like a witch's hat or something.
It's interesting what you're saying because we were in the dark, meaning we shot 22, 24 episodes in the first season before we went out. So this is the Peter Marietta and the writing team addressing the competition beforehand and knowing that the comparison would be there, especially when we go into WizTech and wear those fucking glasses. So something was interesting too to me, which is when Jake and the kids go into the substation and Jake doesn't want to wear the hat and it starts snowing.
Yeah.
And then Brad from outside
It's like-
sees the snow and then questions it and completely, when Max is like, oh, we have dandruff. It's like, no problem.
No, it reminds me of when you talked about like how you step 3 feet away and then whisper and the person can't hear you. It's the same shit. It's the same shit where they're just like, oh, it's dandruff? Got it.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess it's a suspense of disbelief. We just have to go with it.
I know, but watching it back, it is just like, really? That's it?
Now, nothing against the actor who played Brad.
Yeah.
But Selena is supposed to be pining for him.
Yes.
I didn't see a lot of pining.
There was
I just
not
saw
a lot
like
of chemistry.
it's scripted that I have to go after him kind of thing.
Yeah.
And with that said, I think one of the funniest things that I've seen Selena do thus far in the show is her I'm hair flip, like so she flips her hair back and forth and then somehow gets it caught in her mouth and which I thought was really funny. It was a great
the
gag.
reason I loved that gag is because it was so Alex in the sense that she didn't even really try at that either. Like she just was like, yeah. Like she just kind of like half-assed flirting as well, which I thought was so Alex as well. So to me, that was what made me laugh. Like watching it back, I laughed my ass off on that gag as well. Just because, like I said, she just half-assed flirting and it still worked, which was so funny to me. Well, I guess it kind of sort of worked. Like Brad was really focused on
Do you think that Selena's character was doing it half-assed or she wasn't really a flirter?
That's a good question.
Was Alex a flirter or not?
I think more than anything, Alex liked things that came easy to her. You know what I mean? Like, I think Alex, if it was that much effort, it wasn't worth it anyway.
Yeah, she didn't want to do a fucking thing.
She liked things, maybe she was one of those people that if it didn't come easy, it wasn't meant to be.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Because I've heard you say this before, like have your nice day for you, like sit on the couch and relax and take care of yourself. Well, that was fucking Alex Russo
Alex's
101.
life. Yeah. Alex's life was just if it takes effort, don't do it.
So Bill Cott comes in this episode. Is there a little synopsis of that?
Okay, so because Mr. Larry Tate's the one who's deciding who goes to the UN event,
right,
to the summit,
who his character is always saying cowboy references, like that's his
literally
thing.
His whole thing is cowboy puns.
Yeah, and Larry Tate was named for the character from, is it Bewitched?
I think Bewitched. Yeah.
Because there's a character on Bewitched, which was a magic show back in the day.
Where you, I can't do it, but
she did her nose,
and then like magic would happen.
And they switched Darrens, and they were both named Dick. It's true. Dick Sargent and Dick York, I think.
Okay, so they have like a whole thing outside the sub shop where Justin thinks that Mr. Larry Tate's going to be better than bribing and like trying to impress, and Brad thinks that he isn't. But eventually Justin realizes that Mr. Larry Tate does care more about flattery than what he originally thought. And then Alex tells him that, hey, if she succeeds with her plan of wooing Brad, that he'll drop out of the race to go date her, and Justin will be selected for the World Summit.
And then something goes wrong. Something goes amiss with magic.
That never happens on Waverly Place. And then, of course, Justin and Alex are on the same side, which is surprising. That never happens. And then that's where Alex reveals that she's going to do a love potion.
Right.
So, and then they have that weird thing where that whole thing where like comedy in threes, right? Where she has the first guy who's choking, where she tries to give it to Brad in the sub shop.
Right.
And then she's like, no, here's a root beer or whatever. And then she has the do you remember who Andy Milonakis? Do you remember who that was? He was MTV era. He would do pranks and stuff. I'm sorry, that extra reminded me, for anyone who knows who Andy Milonakis is.
He reminded you of
that extra reminded me of Andy Milonakis.
The heavier set guy who was choking.
The little kid.
Oh, the little
kid reminded me of him.
Oh, okay.
So then after that one, then she goes and drinks both of them. And then that's when we start with the whole head growing and shrinking gag.
Right. Which got me because she's there and she's doing whatever. And then when she drinks it and then she realizes, I was like, oh no, she's had the potion twice. It got me.
Can you just show me again when you got really into the episode?
I was like, oh my God, she drank the potion twice. What's going to happen? Oh my goodness.
No.
Oh my goodness.
You weren't, is that the German, oh my goodness?
So the effect of her head getting big, and I just want to cut to, in any science fiction show or magic show, we have a problem. What are we going to do? I don't know. We can't solve it. It's just, and then you go, oh, I just let the steam out of her ear. That solves the problem. Just to get out of it, which is so silly, right?
The steam thing drove, the whole gag bugged me for some reason, but the steam thing was ridiculous.
But because it was just solved, like that.
Yeah.
It just is silly. I always go, oh, yeah, just do this, and then that solves the problem.
Why didn't you think of that earlier? I feel that way with so many episodes of why is Jerry he freaks out because also too you guys go into because we have this whole aside thing where Max can't control his powers, and so then he thinks he wants Chinese food. So all of a sudden you guys open. Oh
my God! Right,
that whole blue green screen effect,
and it was a little silly.
It was a little.
We go to China,
and then you're in Hawaii.
Yeah, and all I could think of in my mind was because we enter back into the loft in China. Did you see the door? Did you see
wide
the
open?
Loft? Yeah, I mean,
wide open.
There was just a portal there.
Yeah, it's just another dandruff moment where they're like, "No, whatever."
Yeah.
Well, and that was the whole reason Mr. Larry Tate gave it to Justin was that he was like, "Oh, you're so cultured. You're bringing me this Chinese food and
Yeah.
this,
And then we go to Hawaii.
and then yeah.
And when I say blend in and I start hula dancing,
Okay.
I thought it was very funny.
No, it was very funny. But why was David Henry skip hula dancing?
I don't know.
Do you remember that? Because he kind of was like.
I think David liked to add a lot of stuff, and I like.
But sometimes it was too much.
Yeah, sometimes.
It seemed like he was adding.
Right, and it takes away sometimes, and sometimes it adds.
Yeah.
So it's different.
But this was the thing that bugged me about David when we were shooting is
him not being on the podcast with us.
Well, don't get me started on that. But no, the thing where he would add stuff just because he wanted to get the upper hand on the joke. So he would operate where he wanted to make sure he got the gag rather than feeding the story, and that drove me nuts.
Well, it's a selfish thing.
Well,
right? No, but I want everyone to know that we've asked every single person from the show to be on Wizards of Waverly Pod.
Yeah, multiple times
we
over a long period of time.
Everybody, every single actor, every single person.
Because I've
everybody.
had fans that are like, well, but this is why they couldn't be on because this was happening in their life, and I'm like, but we've asked over several long months, periods of time.
Like
so
over 6 months, you think you could make time?
So it wasn't
an
because
hour
this
or
one
something?
thing was happening. So no, but good try. Yeah.
David Henry, Jake T. Austin, we would love to have you on the show. It would be great to have you here. Okay.
Yeah, but anyway,
back to
that.
Potion Commotion. I'm having a lot of emotions in this Potion Commotion episode.
Louise. Okay, so like we were saying, Mr. Larry Tate is wonderfully aloof to the Chinese environment and the Hawaiian environment that's coming into through the front door. And gives him the UN ambassador. And Brad is upset that he's lost. He's a sore loser. And he talks about how he doesn't really love the bolo ties, which is a deep cut.
Which, yes, it's like telling Mr. Larry Tate that it's the end of the world to him because the bolo tie is everything.
It's everything.
Yeah.
So at that point, Brad is dead.
His bolo tie is the most important thing in the world. It's so funny. It's like, I guess it's the right thing for the writers to have Brad make fun of his bolo tie because that's just, setting in stone that he's going to be not picked.
Well, yeah, that he's out. He's dead to Mr. Larry Tate at that point. And what I feel like that's his signature piece. Do you have a signature wardrobe?
Ooh, in the show or in life or what?
Both.
Oh my God, Jen Stone.
I'm trying to think if Jerry had a signature thing. There was a watch you were wearing in season 1 that was very bulky. That was weird.
There was a watch that I was wearing just because I said, "What time is it?" We didn't have our phones.
Is that what it was?
Yes.
Because I remember
I don't want to wear a watch on every episode.
No, because I remember looking down and being like, does he wear that watch?
No,
what is
there's
that?
one, and they were like, "We're going to put it on your left," and I was like, "No, I want it on my right or something." I don't like wearing jewelry, period.
Yeah.
And so
you're not a jewelry guy.
Right. I mean, the idea in the beginning, if you're doing a movie or a project or something, and they're like, "You're wearing a watch," and I was like, "No, I don't want to wear a watch. I can, there's a different way of me figuring out what time it is." But I don't think it's in this episode, but there's an episode where I had to wear a watch because twice I referred to the time.
Yeah, I remember being really distracted, being like, where'd that come from? And then we never saw it again. So many. It went to the dimension of the dog.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to call it now.
Yeah,
dimension of the dog,
right,
where it went there and we never saw it again.
How to Train Your Dragon. The dog just farted his way out of our lives.
We farted our way out of our lives.
Wait, I'm going back to
there's
what
a few
you
people I wish would fart their way out of my life.
You had something to tell me about it. You had said, what
do you think Jerry's signature piece of clothing was, and what is yours? Ooh, you're making a Lucio Ball sound.
I think there's one episode where Maria and I dress up in our old 80s outfits.
Yeah.
And I say, it still fits or something.
Yeah,
there's an 80s thing. So whatever that was. But for me, there's a couple of clothes that I can't wear anymore because I'm on my bigger size right now.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. I'm gonna drop.
You're PMSing. It's fine.
Thank you.
You're just
Jen.
a little bloated. It'll go away.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So what about you? What?
I mean, for Harper, I feel like from the fans, it's the marker dress. Mm-hmm. But I don't feel for Harper. Like I said, I think that's just one epic outfit that she had, but a signature piece.
It's hard to pick that out, right?
It is hard to pick. I think for her, it's the matching hat. the matching hat with the dress, because I think to me that was a lot of times what made her outfits was the fact that she had some kind of matching headband, matching hat. That
So it's
our
about the
poor,
matching.
It's all about the matching with Harper. It's got to be, it's a theme. It's all got to match. And that was part of it in season 1, what drove me nuts. We'll get into that in one of the future episodes specifically. I remember being like, what is going on? Because the first season, you can see wardrobe had not quite found her style yet, because it's just like a lot of patterns got like threw up on her.
Right.
So yeah, in later seasons, it was about the theme. So yeah, I think the theme and the matching was her signature. For me, I love a good like cut up T-shirt like this, and then
Is that Michelle Pfeiffer?
yeah,
I named
Batman
my
Returns.
cat Pfeifey because
you?
because it was, she was black and white, and she had like like it looked like she had a mask on. So
That's so
we named
cool.
her Pfeifey.
No, I'm a huge Tim Burton fan, and I love like Batman is. How do you not love Batman?
If you can't see it, she has
I'm wearing a Catwoman shirt.
Yes, a Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman shirt.
But like Michelle Pfeiffer, Batman Returns is like the Catwoman. It's the Selena Kyle, like gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Okay.
There's like this
I know
great
the
behind-
original Catwoman from the TV show, so she is the original. But
Yes.
I'm just saying. But she was great.
And the original was Eartha Kitt, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which I mean, she's epic as well. But I mean, for me, this one is the one I grew up on. So like, and I can't. Sorry, I'm gonna geek out for a second. But that one behind the scenes thing where Michelle Pfeiffer in one take, which by the way, she had to take breaks from.
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah. But where she had to take breaks from like the latex suit because it was so tight. But aside. But in one take at the mall where she's doing the whip and she gets them all at the same time, or she gets the heads off the mannequins.
Yes.
Oh, it's
Yes.
gold.
You
It's
can,
so
you
good.
guys, you can go to YouTube and put in the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman with the whips, and it's amazing. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
And going back to the original Catwoman thing, I made a mistake. I will correct myself and figure out who I was talking about another time.
another place. But yeah, my other signature is my Patches of Houlihan jacket.
Oh, look at you.
This thing where whenever I travel, I add a patch to it.
It's a comfort thing, right?
It is. Well, and this one's really baggy. It's really big, so it honestly feels like a comfort
hug.
element. It drives my mother crazy because she's like, "You have such a cute little figure. Why do you cover it up with this big patches jacket?" I'm like, "Cause I feel like an old.
I'm comfortable, Mom.
I'm comfortable, mother, and I feel like this is my my comfort blanket."
You know, I wanted to say something here that Justin's character really, I think, in this episode is a geek. Are we allowed to say that? A nerdy kind of thing, like studious or
I think studious is
yeah,
the better
studious.
word.
Okay, that's better. I really saw that they were like, oh, let's go this direction.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't so much him being cool as it was him being proud of himself that he was smart.
Well, and I think this is what's interesting about rewatching the first season is you really see the discovery. You see us discovering our own characters. You see the writers discovering which directions they want to go with things. And God, David fought the studious nerdiness, however you want to put it, things so hard. I remember him getting so irritated whenever he would have stuff with Dan and Zeke and like trying to like whenever they would have stuff together. I loved it because it would bring out such great comedic moments. But I remember him getting so frustrated because he didn't look cool.
Right.
So he fought against that a lot, which was really frustrating because there was a lot of really great comedic moments.
Yeah.
That got missed because of vanity or what have you.
Right.
But so yeah, I noticed that too in this episode where they kind of really discovered that direction with Justin, which worked really well. And it was a great antithesis for Alex.
Yeah.
Of having her be this kind of slacker, not really wanting to try, and him being really studious and him really caring about a lot of these things. That dynamic worked really well off of each other
It was a
because
good
they
contrast,
were opposites, you know?
For sure.
Opposites always work, I feel like, really well in comedy and comedy pairings.
And they had good chemistry.
Yeah.
And they really bounced off each other really well. On another note, I had a very red shirt in this episode
And your face
that I had just put on earlier in anticipation of this episode.
Yeah.
And then there was a button on it that was broken, and I tried to rip it off, and I ripped the shirt. So
I know David ripped a Jerry shirt. right
I
before
have
this
it for
episode.
15. I should have gone like this and magic. Fix it.
And then it would have still been ripped because that's a plastic one. I know. I saw that.
Magic isn't real? No. What? No.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so listen, I didn't have the best wardrobe, but what I did get to keep / steal, Disney, which was nice. I love that I'm able to have those today.
No, and you were so good. I mean, it's nice that I can't really wear the stuff that I took.
Right.
While filming the podcast.
Your dresses are like collector pieces.
They're artwork.
Kind of thing.
They're artwork. I mean, our costume designers were like auteurs with what they were able to make, and especially in such a short period of time. So no, I can't really wear them while filming the podcast. But maybe I can break them out for an episode or two if you guys want. But maybe like a hat or a headband or something. But when we get to the episode. But yeah, it's nice that you have some of those shirts as well.
Is there more synopsises?
There is more synopsis.
I want to hear.
Okay, so when Brad screws up with Larry Tate, then Alex tells Brad that she's no longer interested in him and won't be going to the concert with him, even though he's now available because she's nobody's second choice, which she's a prize. That's what she says, which I love that because damn straight you are nobody's second choice.
Right.
Her head grows because she says something positive about herself. Brad gets weirded out and leaves. Doesn't question that her head grew, just leaves.
Does he see it? Does he? Because I mean,
I think it's kind of hard to miss.
no, he says he comments on it.
Yeah,
he goes, "Wow, I never noticed. You're so you have such a big head or something.
Yeah,
like you're conceited, like as if your head blows up like a balloon, and that's okay."
Brad is the most like accepting person on the planet. He's like, nah, dandruff, sure, Hawaii and China, whatever. Like he's the most accepting human on the planet. And then Justin asked like how long we have to put up with Alex being big-headed, 4 seasons.
And then that's when I
and
solve
that's where
the
you
problem.
Fucking just go like
you
this.
You create a problem and then you can't solve it, and then you solve it like this by letting air out of her ear.
This dynamic of our show makes me laugh so much because it's literally 20 minutes because every episode's 22 minutes, 8 minutes for like commercials. Every episode's 22 minutes. It's 20 minutes of everybody of set up the problem, going, how are we going to fix it? And then 2 minutes of going, oh, here's how. I've known the whole time.
Right.
What?
Listen, they write it and then you say it. What are you going to do?
No, I know, but it always makes me laugh. I'm like, why didn't Jerry just do this before everybody got here? Like,
because then we wouldn't have an episode.
I know. But it is that like, suspense of disbelief that does make me laugh.
So at the end, Selena, supposedly the spell is gone, but she still loves herself and sends her self a tremendous amount of flowers.
I can buy myself flowers.
There's a reference to Hannah Montana or Miley Cyrus. What was that? There was like a reference.
No, the reference is the fact that the flowers, like she's like, oh, I can buy myself flowers. And I'm like, this is like the OG flowers. Miley Cyrus's song. You know where she's like, I can buy myself flowers.
Listen, Jen, I'm fucking 51 years old. I don't know every Miley Cyrus song.
This song, 50 or not, has been playing everywhere. You cannot escape it. No, it isn't based on anything. I'm just saying,
I know Wrecking Ball. She was half naked on a wrecking ball, right? Wrecking Ball?
Yes. This is also in reference to Wrecking Ball. So what you say?
Wrecking with the Flowers is in Wrecking Ball?
No, I guess kind of if you go through all of Miley Cyrus's relationships, I mean, I guess they all have to do with Liam Hemsworth, but no, I don't fucking know. I don't pay this much attention to Miley Cyrus. No, this scene made me laugh because Alex says, oh, I can buy myself flowers. I don't need Brad, whatever.
Right. And that's
and it reminded me because literally Miley's song Flowers is about how she can buy herself flowers. So I was like, this is like 10, 15 years before this song. And it was just like, well, Alex is like the OG Miley.
Oh, so the song came later.
Came much later.
Motherfucker, I am so sorry. I'm just catching up to everything. So that song,
the song came
was
out
later.
This year.
So it did?
The song came out this year.
My head hurts. I don't understand.
I'm like beating my head
Did
against
you
the
watch
microphone.
Hannah Montana? Were you watching that show?
Not really, because I mean, I was older. That show came out like right before Wizards. Because I remember.
I think it was on for 2 or 3 seasons before Wizards.
Maybe 2.
Yeah.
Because I remember going to the Hannah set while I was waiting the year that I was under contract for Bus Life, which was the pilot that I did before Wizards. With Vanessa Hudgens and Brandon Smith and Moises Arias, who ended up on Hannah Montana. So I was under contract for a year with Disney where I couldn't audition for anything else. I couldn't do any other job. And they knew with like Vanessa, because she had just done High School Musical beforehand.
Well, and this is something that Disney does, that, you know, they will hold you to the contract even if they know they're not going to pick you up because they want to own you.
They knew.
Disney.
Yeah, they knew within the first 3 months probably of that pilot that they weren't going to pick it up because they didn't want to lock Vanessa into a show because they were about to, like, you know, High School Musical was testing really well. And I remember going to the Hannah set because I knew Mitchell Musso. He and I had done a movie together when we were kids called Secondhand Lions. Now I'm pulling a U, or I'm going through my IMDb.
I think it's okay.
It is. And I remember the execs being like, I don't know about the show. I don't know. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you have a pretty good idea.
Going back to my theme, they were lying their asses off.
Well,
those executives, man, they were dealing with children. They were dealing with kids, and I think there was a little bit of control that there was.
But we were products.
Back to what you had said, a little more honesty and truth would have been nice.
Yes, but the thing is like yes, the way that we were handled in some situations was not okay. Was not okay because I remember like at the first season of Wizards, like I got left out of a lot of stuff because I wasn't part of the family and they wanted to focus on the family. And I remember being in my dressing room crying a lot to the point that my mom was like, if you want to walk, we can go. Like contract or no contract, like we can go. Because I was in my dressing room crying because I would show up to bank school hours and you guys were doing interviews.
Love your mom.
She's the best. But she just was like, or you guys were doing some kind of press junket or you guys were doing something that I wasn't included on. And to be 14 and to be left out of the group, be the only one left out of a group sucks.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom saying to one of the executives, don't ever do this to a kid again.
Yeah.
And they did stuff like that. They tried, I'm not going to say they tried their best, but they tried in some senses to make it very kid friendly. And then they just completely missed the mark on other things.
I felt excluded as well. I felt, that we were at, what I saw was, at least in the beginning, or the first 3 seasons, we were an ensemble show.
That's what I felt, too.
And to be left out of something, is not, it doesn't feel good, But trying not to take it personally, I think, is important.
Well, and that's something that I've learned as an adult. But when you're 14, you don't have that capacity. You know what I mean? Like you don't, or not that you don't have that capacity, but you're still learning those kind of things. And so when you're 14, everything feels like a personal attack. And even things that aren't personal, which of course that wasn't, it was just a marketing strategy at that point, feels very, very personal.
Well, it's interesting you said market strategy because when I was first, getting involved with the show, I saw that Hannah Montana had sold $300 million worth of merchandise. And I was like, holy shit. The shows are just like a commercial for the merchandise,
Yeah, but Disney doesn't cut you in on the merchandise.
No. Okay. I don't know if I should say this story or not, but
say it.
Yeah, fuck it, right? Fuck it. Let's start with that. The
Are
headline,
you planning on doing another Disney Channel show?
Yeah, but the headline for this little snippet is "fuck it." David DeLuise says "fuck it."
Now I'm scared.
Apparently, even if you negotiate and you get a percentage of the merchandise, right? So that's per the contract.
Yeah.
Like you get whatever, 5% of the merchandise.
Yeah.
Well, it's been where the person who was supposed to get the 5% was like, where is it? I almost looked at my imaginary watch.
Yeah, your watch that comes and goes.
And Disney actually said, Disney. That was a big one because I'm pissed.
Yeah.
They said, oh, we don't give you the money. You have to sue us to get it, right? So think about it. Disney
Where
has
did you
all
hear
their
this?
Well, I can't tell you the full details, Jen, but I will tell you that this happened.
Yeah.
And Disney has their lawyers on retainer. So if you want your thing, let's say it's $10 million you're supposed to get.
Yeah.
You're going to have to spend a lot of money.
So they're banking
fighting,
on the fact that you're not going to sue.
and then they're going to say, hey, we'll give you $5 million. So then they save $5 million. Because are you going to wait to sue them and wait, and a lawsuit takes 5 years? And you're going to spend all the money on attorneys? So, Disney.
Well, yeah, because it is interesting to see how much they settle outside of court. And I remember you saying this back when you were directing, because I don't know if you guys know this, but David directed
a few episodes.
But I remember you saying working with Disney is like wrestling with a bear. You might win a few rounds, but overall you're going to lose. And it's true. Like, I have to say, like, the thing is they're such a big company. And that's why so many people are like nervous to say anything, because they own so much and they have so much money. And the reason that they have so much is because they figured out how to do things for so long.
Right. And also they were like, we are the bear. You want to be with us. You want to be with us. You're going to take a small amount of money.
They have a point.
Yes, of course. And that's why it was so hard for me to decide to do the show or not, because I knew I was going to show business, right? Not show art. But what ended up happening was I agreed to the amount of money because I enjoyed the part so much.
Yeah.
Crazy, kooky dad teaching his kids magic,
It's who you work with, the character of the story, or the money. Those are 3 reasons you take a job.
It was not the money on this one.
I know. Well, I think everybody knows that about Disney. But there's also, I think with Disney, there's another element to put a positive on it, because like I said, I think a lot of times people talk about the negative that comes with Disney or working as a child or a lot of like the kids shows. But the thing is what is unique about Disney, and I think a lot of what they approach of that take it or leave it mindset is because they do have such a special touch on projects where it connects with people, I think, more than a lot of other things. Yeah. And I think especially with a children's audience, and especially the time we were on the channel, I think they created a lot of content that really resonated with a lot of people. So getting to be a part of that, I'm really thankful for, and is very, very special.
Me too.
There's a balance to it.
Yes,
for sure.
It just is. They started something which was interesting to me, which is we don't negotiate. You know what I mean? Because they don't
have to.
Right. But
because they are the bear.
Yeah, but also NBC, ABC, CBS, those people
but
were
they're in
charge.
Competition with each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? Disney is kind of its own, especially Disney Channel is kind of its own thing.
Right, but Nickelodeon
There's really only
was
2.
the competition, right?
Yeah, but even Nickelodeon's kind of its own thing in a different way, and their rates were even worse.
Now that's interesting, because I had heard something different. I had heard that you get paid a little more money on Nickelodeon.
No.
You know what I mean?
All my friends that worked on Nick were like, "Oh my God, you think Disney's bad?"
I auditioned for Ricky, Bicky, Bobby, and Susie. I don't know that.
I just had an aneurysm. Excuse me.
The thing is, 4 kids' names. There's a show. I can't remember. It's their names, and I remember like it was between me and another actor who ended up doing it, and I decided not to do the final audition.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to spend more time with my kids, and also it was
What a
right
concept.
after. But it was for Nickelodeon, so I got approved to be, from Jerry Russo Disney dad to possibly being a Nickelodeon dad.
Yeah.
Which would have been very interesting.
Yeah.
I was going to say "aber," which means "but" in German. Aber, I, didn't want to do the same thing for the same pay. It would have been the same exact money, and I was like, I don't want to do that again. I want to move on to something a little more creative.
Yeah, I did something while I was I was getting my prereqs for nursing school, and it just made sense because it was something that I could shoot like a day. I could shoot a bunch of episodes in a day here and there. And so it made sense, called Dead Time Stories, which was something that Nickelodeon bought out to like set up some kind of magic, like Haunted Halloways, I think was the show.
Haunted Hathaways.
Hathaways, thank you.
Yes.
But I think they bought to kind of set up that show on Nickelodeon. But so it was interesting because I kind of had a similar thing where I sort of worked on Nick after Wizards, but not really because it was kind of this sort of aside thing that they bought. But anyway, well, we have many episodes to talk about Disney and Nickelodeon and that dynamic. But for now, we're going to transition into doing some fan questions, which is a new segment that we're starting to do, which I am so excited about because, like I said, this show is for the fans. So now we get to hear from the fans. So Let's see.
Wait, Jen.
Yes.
Nikki, Ricky, Dickie, Dawn. That was the show.
I'm having a stroke. That is.
I just wanted everyone to know what it was.
Ricky Tikki Tavi, the show. Like,
okay,
what?
we have a fan.
Yes.
We have a fan video. We got some submissions, and we're going to watch that right now.
Yes.
Hey, Jennifer and David. My name is also David from Providence, Rhode Island. I have a question in the episode Potion Commotion. What do you think happened to Brad after the episode? Because we never saw him again.
Excellent question, David, and also excellent name. I love your name.
Okay, there's too many Davids in
know,
Waverly Place.
David.
Maria's, who played Teresa's husband's name is David. There's too many Davids.
So what happened to Brad, who his real name in real life was Shane Lyons?
Okay, so I think Brad, because he was very manipulative.
Kiss ass.
He was a kiss up.
Kiss up.
I think that he probably got the character. I think probably like tried to kiss up to the wrong person, or maybe like forged something in school and got expelled, and then maybe like had like a white collar crime he went to prison for. That's what I think happened to Brad's character.
You took it to like I love that. I'm gonna go with something happened and he had to be removed from high school into another, like he got kicked out for some reason because we never saw him again.
Or he's in
like
Hawaii.
David said, he's in Hawaii.
And not questioning any of it.
Right.
Just being like, sure.
Oh, that's so funny.
Why not?
But I know, because I looked this up,
Yeah.
that Shane actually, his parents were chefs and he stopped acting and became a chef.
What?
Yeah.
Hey, go Shane.
Yeah.
That's
It's
awesome.
really cool.
Do you know where he's a chef?
Yeah, I wrote it down somewhere.
Like, what's
it's
his
in New
address?
York. His address is 242. No, but if you look up his name, you can see. I think he was starting to teach, starting to cook in New York at
That's
a
so
certain place.
cool.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah. Pinch Pokio Miyako. No, I love hearing about. That's one of the cool things about like reflecting on all of this, like so many years later, is just seeing where everybody ends up.
yeah.
All right, we have one more fan question. Are you
We
ready?
have another fan question. Yes.
Hi, my name is Katie. First of all, I want to say I love your guys' show. Your podcast is amazing. I'm an actress, so here's my question for you. In this episode, Potion Commotion, what was the hardest thing to do with CGI and special effects in that episode?
Katie, excellent question. And thank you. We love that everyone, including you, is enjoying the podcast. We're very happy about that.
And always good to talk to a fellow actress.
Yes. Okay. So Potion Commotion. What was it sounded like the toughest special effect.
Well, because there was so many special effects in this episode, right? We have the head expanding. We have like the
Jake going up.
Yeah, Jake elevating.
Jake elevating to the
and then
ceiling.
we have opening the door and going to other places.
I will say this to answer Kate's question, and thank you for that. Everybody putting in their video submissions. We had a lot of people putting stuff in, and we really appreciate your participation. Going into the China or being in Hawaii, that was tough.
Yeah.
That was a tricky thing because we had to walk into the door, and what you're doing is you're reacting to something that's not really there.
Yeah.
You know, which is a little tough.
Well, and what's interesting is because, and I can relate to that because we had a lot of that. Where as an actor, Katie, I think the tricky part is always when you're responding to something that's not there, because I think what you relish in as an actor is being able to respond to the person in front of you, right? And to be able to experience something, have a moment, a practical something with the actor in front of you or the actors you're around. And so when you're responding to a tennis ball or to, you know, a green screen and that's it, like it's the imagination has to go on overdrive. But if you see some of the stuff, speaking of like what Disney's doing now, especially with Star Wars and The Mandalorian and where they have the on set where it moves with you. I forget what it's called. It started with The Lion King that they started doing it, but the this is gonna bug me. It's like a 360 almost backdrop that makes you feel like you're there.
Oh.
It's this really cool thing where literally as you move, it moves with you. And I've heard the actors talk about how it just helps so much. How like it helps you like just like suspend disbelief.
I'm gonna have to get on a Star Wars Disney show to
Well,
figure
how
out
much you
what it
love
is.
fantasy. I'm surprised you
I
haven't.
do. I mean, I would die to be in a Star Wars thing. I have to say, like Joey Gordon-Levitt did a thing
Yeah.
in Star Wars. There's I think Channing Tatum might have been a stormtrooper or something. There's a lot of famous people that have done
You would be
little
a great
cameos.
stormtrooper. The one
I would be a good Jabba the Hutt. Too.
No,
A
oh my
small
God,
Jabba-
stop
well,
it.
my dad. I said that because my dad did Jabba the Hutt in Spaceballs.
Oh, yeah,
Pizza
yeah.
the Hutt is what he
Pizza
did. Yeah.
Hut. But no, there's a great one that two comedians did that my brain's also going blank for this as well because of course I need it right now, which is groundbreaking content here.
Two comedians did what?
But it was the guy who does Ted Lasso. What's his name? I know your brain's gonna go blank too.
Jason Sudeikis.
Yes, there it is. Thank you.
No.
But he was one of them, and basically they had Grogu. I'm not going to say Baby Yoda, but they had Grogu, and they're like, "What do we do with it? I don't know. What do you think we should do with it?" And it was kind of this funny, like 2-bit sort of thing. And I was like, I could totally see you doing like a stormtrooper like that.
Ready.
It was like a 2-bit.
You know what's interesting
know.
too? Okay, we're getting off on a tangent. So
well, we're very good at
We're going to
tangents.
rein that in. We'll talk
Bring it
about
in,
Star
yes.
Wars another time.
Yeah.
Jen Stone.
Yes. David Deluise.
I was ready.
I know. I'm sorry.
This has been another episode, a very special episode of Wizards of Waverly Pod.
We're talking
What's
about-
your potion commotion?
Oh, wow.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this episode of Wizards of Waverly Pod. And if you want to watch clips from this episode, go to the Podco YouTube channel. The link is in the description.
And if you can't get enough Wizards, heaven knows we can't, you can join our Patreon for exclusive weekly bonus content. There's a link in the description for that too.
It's magical.
I'll see you next week.